Good day. Snap here, and welcome back. That last video was pretty long, huh? I hope it was a fun watch. I realized some of the transitions and audio cuts were a bit rough, so I'll work on that in the future. Thanks so much for the lovely comments. I have fun reading about what y'all think about my videos and stuff, so... Anyway, so I have a bullet list of things that I want to share, and my next one is the culture of the Lake Alliance colonies. It's a pretty broad topic, so this will probably be broken up into a few videos, a general one and then one for each colony, maybe. It depends on how much information I have on each colony and if it's enough to fill out a whole video or not. So in this one, I'll go through their general culture as well as the traits of each colony, Oak, River, Field, and Marsh colony. I figured it could be fun to use this made-up ranking system for this, so more on that in a little bit. First, I want to talk about the captains, rangers, new claws, and herbalists. I'll go ahead and link the lore stream down below in the description, because I'll be going over a few things that we've already mentioned. You won't need to watch the lore stream, of course, to understand what I'm talking about. I will explain everything that needs explaining. But there's a great Q&A in the stream that you might be interested in, so go have a look. I find that it's a lot easier to retain information from a shorter video that's kind of scripted, rather than a full, mostly unscripted stream, so that's all. As we moved into developing Clouded Moon as our own intellectual property, we made several changes to the story that deviated pretty heavily from the Warrior Cat's source material. So let's go over some things. As we mentioned in the lore stream, the leaders of the colonies are referred to as captains, and each receives a blessing and a title from their captain ceremony. Each captain's ceremony is different depending on how those characters perceive the world, but for the most part, one would fall asleep that night, or day if one is Marsh Colony, and meet with ancestors who would pledge their spirits to the new captain as a blessing of sorts. These pledges are sort of like the 9 lives structure of Warrior Cats, but will help protect the captain from serious injury to an extent, rather than allowing them to come back to life after death. So, not exactly like this, but kind of like Daruk's protection rather than Mifa's grace, you got me? If you don't know Breath of the Wild, it's fine. You don't need to understand that reference. The pledge is like a stroke of luck that prevents death, but does not prevent them from getting hurt. Captains still need to recover from wounds or broken bones. A good example would be like a captain falling down a cliff to their doom, but instead of landing on their head, killing them, a spirit who is pledged to them can influence what happens and cause them to land in a way that maybe they only break a leg, or maybe they come out completely unscathed. The captain carries these extra spirits around with them, and as they are expended, they return to the spirits beyond. So that's the captain. The second, or second in command, of a colony is the captain's right-hand cat and the leader of the council. The colonies each have a council that consists of the second, the envoys, the elders, and the herbalist. This council may overturn a captain's decisions and functions kind of like the captain's government. The captain attends the council mostly to listen. Envoys are those with leadership abilities, who are chosen as sort of heirs in a way. If the captain dies, the second succeeds them, and a new second is chosen from the envoys. Colonies make sure to have a group of envoys so that a colony is never left without a plan for new leadership, no matter what happens to the captain and the second. Alright, the elders are those who can no longer serve as rangers due to age, but still have seasons of wisdom to contribute. They are seen as the closest to the spirits beyond, and therefore hold high respect within colony life. They are even seen as higher ranking than other rangers. The herbalist is the colony's healer, and each herbalist functions differently. Oak Colony's herbalist is often more of a plant specialist and spends a lot of time tending their cliff gardens, only taking part in the council to remind them of how likely they are to recover from a battle or advise them not to spread illness. Rensong is a bit eccentric and likes to test herbs for new capabilities or dangers, even if she is her only test subject. This is in contrast to Field Colonies herbalist, who takes a huge part in the council as a spiritual advisor. Spirituality is not a requirement for cats of most colonies to be an herbalist, but is strongly pushed in Field Colony. Misty Snow is a more traditional herbalist, acting as a healing presence to her whole colony. The council sort of runs the colony as their leadership. Rangers are the ones who get all the work done. Rangers hunt, patrol, build, and guard the base, and train new claws. If a ranger is particularly good at one of these jobs, they can choose to specialize. A mentor oversees the training of the colony's younger generation, oftentimes being the sole trainers of new claws, but not always. Colony cats are encouraged to take on mentorship at least once, even if they're not looking to specialize in mentorship. The best way to learn is to teach, after all. New rangers who train new claws will also be overseen by the colony's mentors. A mentor would act as a soundboard for problems these rangers are having being a trainer, and would also advise them on good training techniques. They're like a direct supervisor, if you will. Keepers are the builders and guards of the base. They rear young and start a kitten's early training, called base training, before they have been given a mentor. This job is not as glamorous in some colonies. In some colonies, keepers are looked down upon for being lazy homebodies. But where would society be without those who build the dens and keep watch over the babies? Many rangers choose not to specialize and just perform duties as needed, ranging the homeland, hunting for food, foraging for herbs for the herbalist, and keeping the territory borders. You know, things cats do. Rangers can decide at any time to begin training for another career, like herbalist, keeper, mentor, or showing off their skills and maybe being picked as an envoy. New claws are young trainees of the colonies, ranging in age from 2 months old to over a year old. Each colony has different milestones for training. For example, field colony training depends on a kitten's size more than age. Here's some blurbs about it from the lore stream. Because of overhead predators like hawks, and the larger prey they hunt, like rabbits and ground birds, rangers always travel in groups, and kittens must stay in the tall grass tunnels keepers weave until they are big enough to start training. Field colony doesn't start new claw training until they are 4 months old. They begin proper field training at 7 months old, making them late bloomers compared to other colonies. In River Colony, kittens learn to swim between 3 and 6 months of age, under the watch of keepers in preparation for becoming full new claws. Rainfall has pushed this age back to 2 to 4 months, though, which is not impossible, but far riskier, and most parents aren't comfortable with it. She places mentors and rangers in charge of this learning process, rather than the parents and the keepers. And some kittens have been swept away as a result. In Oak Colony, kittens enter base training as new claws at less than 2 months of age, and enter field training at 6 months of age, giving Oak Colony one of the longest base training periods. This is done because of their rocky territory. New claws in base training are drilled on balance, so they can effectively navigate cliffs and tree branches, making it second nature to them by the time they start field training. Marsh Colony is the most defensive of kittens, due to being the westernmost territory, furthest from the rising sun, and therefore the spirits to come. They tend to have fewer births per season, so they are fiercely protective of the nursery and kittens. That being said, their territory is more precarious to navigate, so kittens tend to enter new claw training at 3 months of age, taking on base training and field training at the same time, so they are more prepared to navigate the marsh and wetland areas at night. There are quite a few general traditions that the colonies keep among the 4 of them. These traditions they have shared with each other and become accustomed to the point where no colony remembers which colony the traditions actually originated. These were also listed in the lore stream, but I added a bit more context. When new claws become rangers, their colony holds a ceremony on the day of the full moon and moonlight gathering to give the ranger their name. The full moon is when the ancestors are watching and can approve of new rangers. The colony then leaves for the moonlight gathering, and the new rangers are left behind to guard the borders of the colony during the gathering. When the colony comes back, they all celebrate the rangers' successful training by praising the new rangers and spending time together at their base, eating food and telling stories, usually until dawn. So each full moon is sort of like its own holiday. Speaking of holidays, colony cats honor those who have died during the new moon, because it is the night that the moon is dark and the ancestors are quiet. The moon's light is there to remind them of the presence of their ancestors. So on the new moon, they must remember their loved ones for themselves, leaving tributes of flowers and stones upon their graves. It is the holiday of the dead. They reminisce about their loved ones and celebrate their life, even if they can't be around anymore. Summer solstice is the day that celebrates kittens. It is the day of the sun, the longest day, and therefore the holiday of the spirits to come. Kittens get extra special toys, usually made by the keepers, and a lot of attention. They're generally treated extremely well on the summer solstice. Rangers may choose to spend all day at the base doting upon the kittens and playing games to remember what it felt like to be a kitten themselves. Expecting mothers also get first choice of prey and special treatment as well. Flower and leaf crowns and necklaces are made for them, and they are presented to the colony as the bringers of life, those blessed by the spirits to come. Kittens who are born on the solstice are considered extra lucky, and will usually be named after the sun in some way. The winter solstice is the day that celebrates elders. As the longest day represents the spirits to come, the longest night is the holiday that represents the spirits beyond. It is a day to thank elders for their service to the colony. Speaking of traditions, the colonies are not always fully exclusive. They do recognize the value of new cats and new genetics in their midst. The sunrise ceremony and sundown challenge are traditions that allow outsiders or unbound to make a home within the alliance. This tradition is a little different in each colony because each colony is different in their openness to outsiders. New cats may approach the colonies for entry into the alliance, and it is decided upon by the council if that cat will be allowed to enter training. They will train as a new claw, no matter their age. After receiving new claw training, a cat who wishes to join the colony can become reborn into the colonies by completing a sundown challenge. Participants must leave base alone at night and bring back items to complete tasks and show that they know what it means to be a good member of their colony. For example, in River Colony, this might mean bringing back shells or fish. For Field Colony, bringing back herbs, bedding, and prey. They must do all of this alone and return by sunrise in order to be blessed by the spirits to come. If the sun does not rise that day, like maybe there's heavy cloud cover or it's just a generally gray or misty overcast day, it could change the willingness of the council to accept the outsider. Clouds covering the moon or sun can be seen as a bad omen, and even if the cat is ultimately accepted into the colony, they may be seen as unlucky or cursed in a way. If the items brought back are deemed worthy by the colony, then the cat will be welcomed into the colony officially, and they will celebrate with a sunrise ceremony, in which they will receive the council's blessing and are presented to the rest of the colony as a fully fledged alliance cat. The former unbound is now body and soul, a part of the colony life, reborn. Once the full moon comes, the captain will give them their new ranger name as tradition. If a cat fails, then they're exiled from alliance territory. Some colonies are stricter about this than others. It is rare for Oak Colony to exile an unbound who has gone through this process, as they form bonds easily and find it hard to condemn outsiders for simply not being born into colony life. They're very empathetic cats. On the other hand, it is rare for Field Colony to even consider an unbound for training in the first place, and they view outsiders as lost causes. However, kittens are innocent and will be accepted, even if it means stealing them away from their renegade mothers. Oh, and just a note about ranger names. There are the two-part naming conventions in which you have a prefix and a suffix, but the ranger name can add either a prefix or a suffix. For example, Stone might be named Stoneheart, or he could be also named Steady Stone. And Peach could be named Peach Floof, or she could be named Fuzzy Peach. Fun, right? Alright, so that's all the general stuff about how these colonies function. They believe in the spirits beyond, their past ancestors, and the spirits to come, which represent new life. Elders and herbalists are often closest to the spirits beyond, and new mothers and keepers are often closest to the spirits to come, praying for safe passage of new kittens into the land of the living. All colonies in the Alliance live by what's known as the Ancestors' Law. The law reads as follows. 1. The colonies of the Alliance shall meet at the Moonlight Island on the night of the full moon. Failure to attend the Moonlight Gathering voids the Alliance and the truce of the Moonlight Gathering. 2. A ranger's first loyalty is to their colony, and then to the Alliance. Friendly relations with cats outside the Alliance are prohibited. 3. Every colony shall be led by a captain, who represents the colony at the Moonlight Gathering. Every captain shall have a second, to whom leadership of the colony will pass if the captain is killed or unable to perform their duties any longer. 4. Every colony must, at all times, have a captain and a second. 5. No cat shall be made a ranger without a proper assessment of their training, to be approved by the spirits beyond on the day of the full moon. 6. New rangers will train the next available new claw. All rangers will train at least one new claw during their service to the colony. 7. Only seconds, envoys, and rangers who have retired to become elders after the completion of their service are eligible to join the council. The second shall be the leader of the council. Elders shall hold higher rank in the council than envoys. 8. The council has any right to reject any decision made by the captain if they feel that the captain is not acting in the best interest of the colony. This includes refusing to lead rangers on dangerous missions or into pointless battles, and rejecting the captain's choice of second. 9. A ranger must be an envoy for at least one season to be considered for the position of second. And that's the Ancestors' Law. That's all the rules that the Alliance has deemed necessary to put into law form in order to function in the Alliance. That's pretty much the general culture of the colonies. Now, let's do a little colony analysis and see what each one is good at. Each colony has strengths and weaknesses. They're all rather specialized to fit their certain environments, so you can't really compare them. But what if we did? Okay, so I made this ranking system. I chose 12 traits by which to measure our colonies, and we'll be adding pips to their score sheet according to these traits. 1. Speed. That's mostly in the case of running speed, their quickness. 2. Athletics. The kinds of physical skills they are proficient in completing, such as scaling a tree or swimming or digging, their ability to move themselves, their dexterity. 3. Tenacity. How likely are they to keep going in the face of defeat? What are they willing to take on? Their courageousness. 4. Skill. The amount of training needed for colony life. How good are they at tasks? Their precision. 5. Physical strength. Raw, brute strength and muscle mass. Their sheer power. 6. Cunning. How likely they are to come up with clever ideas or think outside the box. Their adaptability. 7. Intelligence. Their knowledge about things in the world around them and their willingness to learn. Their judgment. Here's a fun one. Number 8. Intimidation factor. How formidable they are in attitude and appearance. Their scariness. 9. Charisma. How easily they can relate to other cats and articulate their speech. Their appeal to others. 10. Toughness. How many hits can they take and still be standing? Their durability. 11. Spirituality. Connection to the spirits beyond and spirits to come. Do they consider the spirits while making decisions? How close do they keep to the ancestors' law? Their devotion to the spirits. 12. Aggression. How likely are they to start a fight? This applies mostly to renegades, but could also be applied to colony relations inside the alliance. Their hostility. All right, let's start with River Colony. Speed. They tend to be heftier cats who are best at laying in wait for their prey. They rarely need speed to function in their environment, so they get 2 for this. It just isn't one of their strengths. Athletics. These cats perform a lot of activities and are the only colony that learns to swim, as a staple during new claw training. They need a lot of athletic ability to perform tasks in the river. 10 for this one. Tenacity. These cats are good at conserving energy. So, if defeat looks imminent, they will probably quit while they're ahead. 2 pips. Skill. They have a high level of skill. It takes a lot of training to become proficient at river colony life. They use a lot of skills that don't necessarily come natural to most cats, and they need a high amount of precision to navigate currents and catch fish. 12. Physical strength. River colony cats have pretty average physical strength. They look chunkier than they are because of that thick double coat, but don't always have the weight to back it up. So 6. Cunning. They have to be pretty adaptable to live where they do. The river can change at a moment's notice. 8. Intelligence. Their world is pretty limited to their island, but they do have a vast knowledge of river and sea life. So I'd say just a bit less than average on this one. 5. Intimidation factor. These cats are usually fluffy and or beautiful, and it's hard to look scary when you prefer to lay in the sun and conserve energy for fishing. Other colonies probably see them as a bit lazy, actually. Not Rainfall's River Colony, of course. I would add like 5 more boxes for her. But River Colony as it should be, 2 pips. Charisma. They are very pretty, and they keep their fur perfect, as any imperfection in the coat can ruin the insulation of the double coat and wreck their whole hunt. There tends to be a lot of competition among new claws in River Colony, so they learn how to stand out by being well-spoken and particularly good-looking. 10 pips. Toughness. A bit above average for their ability to hold their breath underwater. Their insulating fur helps them keep out too much heat or cold. 7. Spirituality. River colony cats believe that their way of life would continue with or without the spirits, but they do go along with the religion and remain loyal to the alliance. They follow the ancestors' law loosely and always make sure to attend the gatherings so they don't break the alliance. 3 pips. Aggression. They do not like intruders, but will usually talk it out before fighting. So less than average on this one. Rainfall's River Colony is hella aggressive though. So 5 pips for normal River Colony. So here we have a cunning, charismatic, skilled, and athletic group of cats. Let's move on to Marsh Colony. Speed. These guys are muscle builders. They hunt at night and rely on stealth. So all you get is maybe a short burst of speed here and there. 2 pips. Athletics. I'd say they're a bit above average in athletics. Their dexterity helps them hunt strange prey items and keep their balance in the mud and wetland. 7. Tenacity. Average. They know they have higher physical limits than most cats, but they aren't stupid either. 6. Skill. You don't need too much precision when you're as big as a house, let's be real. It wouldn't be too hard to adapt to marsh colony life as long as you're willing to build that muscle. 3. Physical strength. Did I mention they're strong and muscular? They spend a lot of time muscling their way through swamps and mud. Very strong lads. 12 pips. Cunning. They do not adapt well to others' ways of life, and their own lifestyle is very specific. Hunting during the heat of the day would be such a bitch for these guys. Our first one. Intelligence. They are very knowledgeable about their surroundings and what is poisonous or dangerous. Their environment helps them learn quickly or perish. 8. Intimidation factor. Scary friends. Big, burly, and gruff. They don't need to fight to get their point across. 11. Charisma. As previously mentioned, they are scary looking. Big muscles mean other cats don't mess with them much. They are often quiet and don't really learn to engage in clever arguments with Riverlanders. 2. Toughness. They are large in frame and can take a hit easily. Not even large predators can take down a marshlander easily. 10 pips. Spirituality. They're a bit above average on this front. They do obey the ancestors' law and pray often to the spirits to come. They can be a bit superstitious, but not overly so. 7. Aggression. Despite their fighting ability and heavily muscled frames, many marshlanders are more gentle and prefer not to cause damage to other cats. They are responsible for their strength. 3. Alright, marsh colony is pretty specialized as to what they're good at and not good at. They know their limits, though. Oak colony may know their limits, but they don't accept them. Speed. They have average quickness for cats. They need to be able to catch birds, and sometimes that means snatching them out of the air with speed. 6. Athletics. They have a very rough terrain to navigate, so they need dexterity to do so. These athletes climb trees and cliffs while practicing their leaping and falling skills. 9. Tenacity. Courageous to a fault. If there is even a tiny chance of success, Oaklanders will take it. Many cats think them stupid for this. 12 pips. Skill. It takes a level of precision to navigate treetops and cliff faces, so these guys are a bit above average at 7. Physical strength. They're a bit below average in the strength category. They need to stay lightly built to keep their dexterity. 5. Cunning. They don't think things through as much. If they think they can do it, they will always try. You can see why many would call them foolish. 4 pips. Intelligence. They're highly aware of their surroundings and know a lot more about the outside world due to their numerous unbound friends. So a higher score would be in order if they used any of that knowledge. They get a lower score because they don't use any of that intelligence to measure their actions. Average. 6. Intimidation factor. Not scary. Not mean. They're usually nice to outsiders and have a lot more empathy than other colonies. It is sort of an Oaklander unspoken rule that if an unbound cat isn't actively hurting the colony or attacking them, there's no real reason to drive them out of the territory. There's really enough prey to go around, and they're specialized enough that they're rarely low on prey. 2. Charisma. They are very good at speaking and interacting. They're very likable cats. So I'd say a bit above average here. 7. Toughness. They do have tough little bodies and can take a lot more than it might seem they can. Oaklanders are known for getting back up, no matter how much pain they're in. This is the only reason they would ever be seen as intimidating. They take a hit and keep on coming. 11 pips. Spirituality. Oaklanders are the most worldly cats. They do believe in the spirits, but they also question the ancestors' law a lot, knowing that simply questioning it isn't enough to break the alliance. They question it to the point where breaking it is just another Tuesday. 2. Aggression. No attack, only protect. But seriously, these are soft lads at heart. Their empathy for other cats means they want to understand rather than just fight through their feelings. They believe that everyone, colony cat or unbound, deserves to live. 1. And that's my Oaklanders. So, last but not least, field colony. Speed. Fast kitties. They have long legs to run down their prey in the open. Their bodies are light and swift. Off to a good start with 12 out of 12. Athletics. Fieldlanders need to react quickly, or they will have used all of that energy for nothing. Their small frames make them dexterous. Hairpin turns, dives into rabbit tunnels, and leaps over rocks and logs. 9 pips. Tenacity. They know when to quit. Wasting energy on a fruitless mission is just foolish. Better to live to fight another day. 3. Skill. Hunting for these guys takes a bit less precision. Once you run something down, you don't have to do too much more than trip it up. It's already wasted all its energy and will start to make dumb decisions. Fieldlanders need very few specialized skills, but they do need them, so just a bit below average. 5. Physical strength. They are willowy, little, thin cats, and they don't have much for physical strength. They use their speed to overcome enemies, not their power. 1 pip. Cunning. They are pretty highly adaptable cats. They have 3 bases on their territory and change their behavior based on the changes to the wind and the seasons. Their small bodies and large ears also mean that they can venture into the wastes a bit further than other cats, if they need to. 9. Intelligence. These are smart cats with tactical minds. They need to think things through carefully if they are to succeed. They are fully aware of their limitations and their surroundings. 8. Intimidation factor. The only reason anyone would ever be afraid of these cats is if there was a large group of them. They are small and thin, so not very scary to stack up against. They travel in groups to deter predators and would score much higher as a group, but as one singular cat, 1. Charisma. Fieldlanders can come off as stuck up to other cats. They are pretty closed off, so they seem sheltered and unapproachable. 4. Toughness. Their small bodies are easily affected by the elements, and one good hit from a marshlander could probably wreck a fieldlander's day. Even so, they manage to hang in there and score only a bit less than average. 5. Spirituality. These are highly spiritual and lawful cats. Their herbalists often act as messengers between the spirits and the living, holding a high place on the council. They act in a bit of a leadership role. Field colony is rather strict about the ancestors' law, and breaking it can result in penance to be paid to the colony. 11 pips. Aggression. They tend to overcompensate for their lack of strength with a show of aggression. Fieldlanders have been known to steal kittens from renegades and rarely, if ever, accept adult renegades into their territory. Above average. 7. And there you have it. Now, keep in mind this is a general ranking of cats within these colonies, an average, if you will. Obviously, some Oaklanders are more calculated than their actions, like Dawn Frost. And some Fieldlanders question the ancestors' law, making friends in other colonies. like Spotted Shadow. Not all marshlanders are big and strong physically, and Rainfall's river colony deviates from the average on this chart a lot. Each colony was allotted 72 pips, so that's half of the 144 boxes in each chart. So they're all equal on average. This can change depending on who's captain at the time and what they push for their rangers. Just to clarify, if you want to make fan characters or something, just saying, it's pretty fun. There, I ranked the colonies. What do you think? Which one is your favorite? I, of course, love my dumb oak babies. I relate to their courage and toughness. It's fun to think about how cats like that would even function in a colony or an alliance. I also really love the other ones too, don't get me wrong. Oh, let me explain the time-lapse that's going on in the background. It's 4 colony cats. I have either never drawn or don't do very often. I feel like these 4 are all really good examples of my rankings for their colonies. So we have Misty Claw, who is a mentor in River Colony. Her mate is Gillstripe, and her kittens are Petal, Otter, Wasp, and Sky. She is also the daughter of the former captain, Poolglare. So this is Wolfthorn's sister-in-law, I guess. Next we have Finchflight, who is a keeper in Oak Colony. Her mate is Gorseclaw, and her kittens are Wrensong and Thornheart, and then Fox, Moon, and Oak. Then there's Falcon Swoop, who is a ranger in Marsh Colony. Her parents are Indigo Eyes and Kestrel Snap. Her brother is Snowstorm, so that also means that she is Ice and Pool's older sister. And then there's Lilyfire, who is a ranger in Field Colony. Her parents are Amber Eyes and Volfur, and her siblings are Timberleg and Peach. She is Golden Pelt's niece. We had so much fun putting together the lore for these colonies. There's still so much to talk about as far as traditions and culture goes, but I don't want to render another huge video, so I'll end it here and think about starting part 2 soon. I'll get into specific colonies and how they work with the captains they have. Sometimes when I stagnate while writing or animating, I like to think about this crazy stuff like ranking the colonies based on arbitrary skills like tenacity and aggression. Give it a try if you want. It's really fun. If you feel differently about the rankings I gave, let me know what you would change. I hope this was informative and fun. I sure did have a lot of fun doing this one. So, until next time. Cheers!